Hello, welcome everyone. It's Tim here from Integrated Irrigation. This will be the first video in a series of how-to videos for our BushLinx software and how to use it and what to get out of it. Today we're just going to have a initial quick look around BushLinx and where everything is and how to access things. So today we're going to use our installation for the Wimmera Catchment Management Authority project and have a look through some of the sites and see what information we can get through. So logging in this implementation, we skip straight to the live map, which allows you to see across the whole landscape for what's in the system and get the current and recent data for each of the layers on the layer icon on the right hand side. So from here, clicking on one of the sites here, perhaps we'll pick on Natamuck today, and getting up the weather panel gives us all of the current data for the latest time slot that we've received for that site. So 1 p.m. is the latest slot. So from here we can go to the dashboard for that particular site, which gives us a whole bunch of instruments and graphics here to be able to see what's going on. So the weather panel, of course, is the initial view, and temp humidity, delta T, harvest fire danger index, which is the FDI MacArthur implementation. The FBI will be coming shortly as we get that system up and rolling. Wind speed, of course, minimum, average and maximum wind speed, maximum being the gust wind speed. A meteogram view of multiple sensors. Rainfall calendars. People are really liking the rainfall calendar. They're giving some fantastic feedback about that. And the rainfall table, which gives a much longer term view of rainfall than the calendar. So we might just skip into the table, the rainfall table, to have a look at some of the graphics type stuff. Any of these graphics on a dashboard, if you click the title of that graphic, it'll whiz that graphic across to another page under display and graphics here on the left hand side and give you much more history. So if we have a look at the table very quickly, rainfall for 2022 is what is currently selected and gives a breakdown by month and of course the year total at the end. So this year thus far 722.6 mils at the Natamuck site. So from here we can drill down a little bit further. We'd like to have a look at the current month being November. So if we now click on November, we're getting a daily breakdown with the monthly total at the end. If we'd like to go back and see historical data, we just need to choose years, and perhaps we'll choose October this time, and the month, and we can see the data that's been collected through history. As time goes on, more and more years will show up, and we'll be able to keep a permanent record of those of that data. So on the select menu on this display graphic page, under select, if you've built any charts and graphics yourself, they'll be listed under custom. The standard ones in the system for this WCMA installation are all in the list here. Each of the sites comes up. We're currently on Natamuck. So if we choose the Natamuck weather site and choose any of the other graphics here, we'll be able to see a much longer term view. And being quite condensed data in this type of charting view, we've implemented a slider down the bottom here, which you can use to shorten the time span, look at a time of interest. And of course, by default, if you use the buttons at the top, you'll be able to skip to the latest data on the period that you're interested in. So coming back to the menu, let's have a look at what else we can access here. We've had a look at dashboards, display. The graphics page is where we are now, where all the charting is presented. A quick chart allows you to build very quickly build a chart of anything you'd like to look at. Perhaps we'd like to look at charum, air temperature, with some other sites, let's say deep lead and its temperature, and we'll allow it to show that axis in Celsius. And we'd like to, what else would we like to do? We'd like a bit more than 6 hours of data. We'd like, let's say, the last week of data. If we view that now, we'll be able to get a chart of those two sites and the air temperature and the difference between them at any particular point in time. Those charts are not saved, they're just a quick chart. If you'd like to save the charts, you can go under Create and Graphics, which we'll have a look at in a moment. So continuing under Display, Quick Table, same style of thing as Quick Chart. If we have a look at, let's say, charum and air temperature, that'll load up a whole load of essentially statistical stuff about that sensor, which allows you to sort of skip to the metric that you're interested in looking at. Maps, we should do maps next. Under live map is where we currently landed loading up. So on the sites map, we can see all of the sites in the system and what some of the current values are. The See More graphic there loads up our trusty old weather panel again, so you can access that straight off the sites. And a couple of these sites have yet to be installed, so as I'm doing this video, so they will currently have empty values in them until the sites are actually put in. You can click around there and have a look around. Back on the menu, under sites, on the site list here, we have a list of the sites, and in this WCMA implementation there was, I think, 5 manufacturers of data logging hardware. So they're listed for each site as to which one it actually is and where it came from, and also the latest timestamp that BushLinx has received for each of those sites. We can look at the details of that site, which will show any notes that are loaded into the system. That one had a busted wire that needed to be fixed by the look of it. And if we look at the sensor list, we'll be able to see all of the sensors that are currently available for those sites. Moving on to data. Data allows you to skip to a very specific piece of data for a given site, and you can look at something that may have happened in the past that's of interest. Select your time spans, your date ranges, and hit go, and shows up in a graphic and a table. Moving on to the Create menu. Under Create Graphics, this is where all the magical stuff happens for being able to display data. The View Change list is a list of the existing graphics. In this Wimmera implementation, we have a whole load of standard graphics in there for each site, but you can also make your own. So if you own graphics, if you do make your own graphics, they'll show up in this list here, which you'll then be able to edit and so forth along the way. So making those graphics, you can choose a whole bunch of gauges that you can make for each thing that you're interested in looking at for the current values. Table views, whether that's a summed type of table, like for rainfall or something like that, you want to sum the data for days and months and so forth, or a statistical table where you want minimum, average, maximum. Perhaps you might like that for temperature or delta T or something like that. Create charts, we'll have a look at that one. It's a one of the standard things that we do routinely. So creating a chart, we just need to fill out all of these things. We use temperature because it's at the top. Pick a color. I like to use red for temperature. We'd like a line chart as opposed to a column or area. Perhaps we'll choose area today. And which axis you would like that to show on. So in this way, you can have multiple things on the chart showing on different axes, and you can choose which ones show on the same axis. So we'll leave it on the standard default 0 axis. For that axis, we'd like to say it's temperature, and we'd like to show that axis. We don't care how many ticks there are. We'll make it red, the same as the temperature series color. It's in Celsius. We won't worry about a minimum and maximum. We'll just let it choose what that is. Opposite, I'd like the axis to show up on the right hand side, so we'll tick that as true. And reversed, we'll basically tip it upside down, so we'll leave that as standard for now. Chart options, we'll give it a title, temperature at Chatham. Hopefully I've spelt that correctly. We'll give that a new category of our own, and we'll just call that something, whatever category you'd like it to show up in on the display page. That is for myself, and I'd like to look at the last 1 week of data. If there's any notes for those sensors, I'd like them to show up on the chart, so we'll click that. All these other things we'll leave as standard, but feel free to have a play around with them if you'd like to. Plot bands, drawing lines and colors on the charts. I might put in a value of 40 degrees and say it's hot. I'll have the color of that line red, please. Thank you very much. Might also have a line in there for 5 degrees, which is a little bit cooler. Get a jumper. And we'll make that a deep blue for being cold. Plot bands, we might say a good range of temperatures that we'd like is 20 degrees to, let's say, 30 degrees. That's my favorite temperature range. And I'll have a green color, which will paint that whole area of the chart between 20 and 30 degrees, that green color, and you'll be able to see the temperature moving along in and out of that color and getting close to and hitting those lines. So you can create whatever charts and such that you like in here. Have a play around. Most of the charting that you probably like is already available in the Wimmera implementation. If you're using the customer implementation of BushLinx that we use for our own customers, then a lot of these charts we make for you, but you can certainly look through here and create some of the charts for yourselves at any time that you like. So moving on to the next create menu item, dashboards. Creating dashboards, there's a whole lot in here already in the Wimmera system. You can choose which one is your primary dashboard that you'd like to look at for your particular login. Perhaps I'd like to make our trusty Chatham weather my default dashboard, and that just means that when I click on the dashboard on the left hand side, that's the first one that comes up by default, and you can then go and look at other things from there from the drop down menu, and of course you can change your default anytime you like. So creating a dashboard, we can create our own and give it a name, a something name, if we want it to be our primary dashboard or not, and select the graphics that you'd like to go on that dashboard. So there's a lot of sites in here in the Wimmera system, so perhaps you'd like to look at a range of sites, but one particular thing you might want to see delta T and what's happening on a certain number of sites around you with delta T. So if you look through and find delta T from all of the sites of your interest, you can then create a dashboard for that, which means when you go to the dashboard page, your something dashboard is the first one that you'll see, and you can quickly skip through, or Doan hasn't got any data yet. We can quickly skip through and see what's going on around you with delta T. So if you'd like to put your own charts on those dashboards, of course you'll need to make the charts first to be able to put them on a dashboard. If you'd like to choose a range of the graphics that are already in the system, of course you can make a dashboard from those graphics already being created for you. I think the last item we've got on the list here is resources. We're building this out right at the moment. This will also be available on our customer implementation of BushLinx as well. And it's just a whole bunch of articles and videos and such, like the video I'm doing right at the moment. And will be here and available for you to have a look at whenever you like. Some of the things that are coming in here is these types of how-to videos, and also knowledge documents of how to, for example, read charts of soil moisture and how to interpret what they're telling you and that type of thing. So over time, this resources tab will get built out more and more, and be hopefully quite a comprehensive resource for everyone learning how to use this type of sensor monitoring system. Thank you everyone, and hopefully we will catch you in the next video.